Good morning, everybody. BDF44 coming at you with another video. All right, so, checking in. Of course, NBA basketball is not close. Seems like it's so close yet so far away. We're in the midst of trying to just cope with ourselves in the end of August. Training camp's going to begin very soon. Guys are running around, starting to get with their teams and stuff like that. Preliminary stuff is starting to come together for guys. For teams rather, and it's just a situation where BDF44 is trying to figure out when he wants to start this project. He's been telling you guys he's been dreading not being able to do all summer, which is break down every team and figure out who's on what and when. I'm trying to figure out when I want to start that process. Is there a point when I to agree that all the deals are going to be done before the season? All the deals that are expected to be done will not be done before the season, and that we need to start knowing who's who with the potential of these teams staying this way, et cetera, et cetera. So now that the Lakers have made the Patrick Beverley trade, there's a little more to understand in regards to the roster. Love that. You look at certain teams like this, the Clippers, you don't expect them to make any more moves. You look at, Boston, you think they're complete unless they make a big move, things like that. So there are teams out there that we can take a look at. But the big dogs are still, obviously, Utah with Donovan Mitchell and the Knicks, the Lakers with Russell Westbrook and his expiring contract, and, of course, the Brooklyn Nets and Kyrie Irving's expiring contract, with a few other expiring contracts like Jakob Poeltl out there, who I also think is kind of a big deal. He can move the needle and probably should be traded. So there's just a lot of stuff like that is available to take a look at. I was listening to Shannon Sharpe this morning, and he was just saying that he doesn't think, just like everybody else, he doesn't think the Lakers are in a position to acquire Kyrie Irving at this point. Obviously, the pieces to do so, the picks are still in place, but the Nets are, in his mind, are not going to be bringing back Kyrie Irving for half a season when they believe they're going to win a championship this year. I think that logic is sound. I just don't think that they believe that they're going to win a championship, nor do I think that it's as simple as that. And what I mean by that is this. If you believe you're going to win a championship this season with this core, and you understand that Kyrie Irving could possibly walk for nothing if you allow him to enter free agency, that means that you would have Kevin Durant on the books for 3 years at that time. That's 3 years you were responsible for making sure you're a win-now team. So if they let Kyrie walk, which he would be in a position to do if they don't trade him or pay him, they're effectively removing $36 million worth of salary that they can't guarantee they'll be able to bring back at a very high level. Now, if they trade Kyrie Irving, right? If they trade Kyrie Irving, they're putting themselves in a position to retain some value as to which they can flip at that time and maybe get back something that they like more so than him walking at $36 million and having to figure out if they could find a free agent or several to supplement that basketball play, as to which they may or may not be a win-now team anymore, as to which then they could have problems with KD at that time. So in my mind, it's like this. If I'm aligned with Shannon's logic, then the thing I'm saying to Josiah is, would it not make sense to not allow Kyrie to enter free agency? If you believe he's a piece that you can win, that you need to win a championship, and he can help you win a championship this season, then why wouldn't you believe that he can do the same next season? Or rearrange that entire thought and I present it this way. If you're not going to pay him now and you understand he's going to walk, do you have plans, Brooklyn? Do you have plans for bringing in somebody? Do you have somebody in your mind that you can replace him with to keep you at the level that'll make you a championship caliber team, keep KD happy? Do you have that piece in mind? Because if you're going to let Kyrie walk, there should be someone in 2023's free agency that you have in mind that you're going to bring in to keep KD happy. If you don't know who that player is, or you don't have that piece in mind, then going forward without Kyrie Irving for the Nets is a big risk. It's a big risk, especially when you already have issues with KD saying he wants out. Now, I'm telling you, I have no idea why he went back, other than to say that no one could move, and it was the most logical thing to do when you realize you can't do nothing else. The only way to get leverage is to take it back. And that's what KD has allowed the Brooklyn Nets to do by rescinding his trade demand. Now, the media has run and assumed that that means that KD's going to tuck his tail between his legs and just kind of go back and be good. And because they have a winning championship caliber team, that should be a satisfactory thing. But if he thought they had a winning championship caliber team, he probably would have never went through this whole process during the summer. Most importantly, locking up his own team's ability to make flexible moves to make the team better. He essentially capped them off from being able to do that. If he wanted to move forward with the team, that was a terrible way to strategize. He didn't want to move forward with the team. See, these are things that I know, but I don't need anybody to explain these things to me. This is just stuff that comes with the game itself. So when it's like, all right, because I know all of this, or because I believe all of this to be exact, it's hard to sell me on the idea that the Brooklyn Nets are about to let Kyrie Irving just walk. No, it makes much more sense to sign him to a very small extension. If you don't want to give him 4 years, give him 2. But what you absolutely do not do, is go into the season with the intention of having him stay the whole season at an expiring $36 million, for which you are claiming you believe is going to help you win a championship, only to let him walk for free directly after winning the championship or losing the championship, whichever the case may be. Now, if they win the championship, one assumes everybody's happy. You immediately resign everybody there. But here's the problem. At that time, let's assume Kyrie Irving's played a good amount of games, 70 games. They got to the championship. He averaged 25 points, 22 points, whatever. Great year, great season. Everybody's happy. End of the year, they get ready to give him his money. 4-year deal, $100 million on the table. What is also attached to the contract? Contingencies, forcing him to take the vaccine or any variation of what would be necessary if for some reason something like that were to occur again. That's the problem. Once they slap that contract in front of him, 2 years, 4 years, 6 years, does it have words in there that he doesn't like? Terms that he and his representation will not agree to? I think, and I've been selling this to you guys the whole time, I think it is responsible for the Nets to put jargon like that in his contract. And I think it's logical for him to reject that jargon. I think both of those things are destined to happen. I think they're both reasonable positions for both sides to take. You understand what I'm saying? Like, some of this stuff is just like, this is what comes with all of this in my mind. So, if I'm looking at all that, and I'm believing all that to be the case, and I look at the Lakers and I say, okay, could you miss out on getting Kyrie? Yes, we've said we can miss out. Maybe then Heat come in and swoop in and get him and give him a contract, move on. That's great. That's wonderful. Maybe that happens. I don't think he would reject a contract like that. I don't think he's in a position to do so. You can get a contract like that from the Milwaukee Bucks. I'm pretty sure he'd take it from them. He'd take it from Kings. He'd take it from anybody. In my opinion, at this point, it's about locking up. Once you get that contract, it can be traded anywhere, as we know. Even though we know that's going to get harder as things change. But nevertheless, as of right now, he just needs the contract. So, maybe if you're the Nets, you say, well, what I'm banking on is him and his team just taking these contingencies after all. Maybe that's what they're banking on. Him caving on that. Here's the problem. He didn't cave on that all last year. Why is that something I'm hanging my hat on? Let's just say I'm in that room and I'm like, yeah, that's something to listen to. Let's see if that scenario doesn't make any sense to me. Because if I thought he was the kind of guy who was going to shake off of his square, so to speak, he proved to me he's not last year. I already lost money on that bet. I'm not betting on that again. So, all of these things are in place, y'all. All of these things are in place. Yeah. Simple and plain. So, if I'm Shannon, I'm rethinking the thought, because the Brooklyn Nets holding on to Kyrie Irving at that price, $36 million for one season, only makes sense to me if they're absolutely certain that they can come to an agreement for a longer term deal. It's the only reason why that makes any sense. Because if I'm trying to logically tell myself that he's a piece I need to win the championship this year, then there's no way in hell I'm letting him walk for nothing. Those two thoughts don't go together. He can't be something I need and be something I'm willing to let go of for nothing. Can't be two. It can't. Those two things don't logically stand in place. It's got to be either I want the dude and value him, or I don't and got to get rid of him. It can't be a wiggle room in that situation with a player, particularly this valuable. $36 million, and mind you this, the same reason why I said we can't play Russell Westbrook at $47 million is the same reason why I think the Nets can't play Kyrie at $36 million. Because you, the Nets, need that to be represented in more players. Can't stress it enough. They do not have enough wing defensive help. They don't. They don't have enough wing defensive help. They don't have enough athleticism on their wings. They don't have it to put down there Kyrie Irving at $36 million when they only expect him to play a certain amount of games. Now, mind you, this is somebody that has the reputation of not playing as much. And I'm saying that with a lot of goodness in my heart and happiness in my heart for him. He has the reputation of someone who doesn't play as much. So if I'm logically valuing him as such, and mind you, I'm the team that's had him for the last couple of years, so I'm the one that dealt with it. Why in the hell am I keeping that player at that amount if my intentions are to be a win now team? I must win now. I can't afford him at that price when I expect him to play that many games. How do those things come together? See, it's one or two things going on. Either the Brooklyn Nets vision is completely flawed, and if they were to watch my video, I'm presenting things to them they should have been seeing for themselves, and they don't. Or all of this is as I see it, and they're pretending this is a leverage play. Just like I said, it's a mask. All of it, the whole thing's a mask. What I believe is going on is, and I said this a trillion times, they're just getting their leverage back. Now, that doesn't mean they're going to quickly trade KD. No, they're going to go back to the drawing board and try to keep him. Even if they're telling them they're trying to trade him, they're going to hope to God that something goes right and try to keep him. That's what also naturally comes with this. Hope KD's ready for that. They definitely don't want to trade you, bro. But if you keep your foot on the gas and tell them behind the scenes they still need to do so, they will do so. Because if it was that adamant to them to not do so, they would never feel calls for him in the first place. And that's something I know. KD can come to me and tell me to trade him, right? And I could tell him yes or no. But behind the scenes, if I'm fielding calls, that means I'm willing to do it. That's how I look at it. Now, that doesn't have to be the case. But that's how I'm looking at it, and that's what I'm telling you. That's how I would operate. That doesn't mean that's how they're operating at all. I'm just telling you that's what logically makes sense to me. I'm not taking no calls for KD. No, because you don't have a price tag that's going to work. I'm going to continue to keep the price tag as high as Danny Ainge keeps on Donovan Mitchell, if not higher. Much higher. I'm going to price him all the way out the game, and I'm not letting you touch him. So, yeah, we're trading him. Yes, then it's going to cost you 7 times more than you have, and you're going to have to give it to me yesterday. You understand what I'm saying? Those are the terms. So, it's not happening. Now, unless he pushes the pedal and says, yo, I want this to take place still, and I'm not letting up. Now, I personally believe there's a good chance that's actually happening. I think he still wants to be somewhere else. I do, and I'm saying that a million times because I don't have any reason not to. But if all of that is to be assumed, which I am going to assume it, then that leaves Kyrie Irving still in a position to leave the Nets right away. Right away. Because it becomes a timeline conversation. Now it's about, if I'm forced to let go of KD, I no longer need the rest of this stuff that's win now. Okay? And that's why I think the Nets are ultimately trying their very best not to have to do anything at all. Because it's not just about them not wanting to let go of KD at 4 years. It's about not wanting to undo all the moves that they've done around this process that otherwise don't make any sense without the presence of those players. So I get that. I understand that. And I would be in that position with them as well, not wanting to undo this. But at the end of the day, it's a crap or get off the pot situation with Kyrie particularly. And letting him play out this season with the Nets just to walk doesn't make any sense. Holding on to him, needing him to play as much as you're going to need him to play, having him play all of that, and then letting him test free agency doesn't make any sense. It don't make no sense. Especially if that's gonna further deteriorate your relationship with KD, who's already trying to, if everything is showing, is already trying to reacclimate back into the equation with you guys. The last thing you want to do is further anger him, and that's exactly what you would do if you bring back his good buddy and then let him walk next season with him having 3 years left on his deal. So, yeah, as I talk in circles, often do, I just want to reiterate what it is that I see. It's the same, they gotta pay him. They have to, and because of it, I know that they're gonna trade him. Now, what they're gonna let him go for, I don't know. When that happens, whether it be trade deadline, I don't know. But here's what I also understand. Talk circles as always. Kyrie doesn't play as many games. If for some reason he gets hurt, the Brooklyn Nets really feel it. See what I'm saying? Just like I said about my Lakers, I would feel a lot better if the Lakers sat Russell Westbrook because of his contract, and if he gets hurt, it's all curtains. Same thing with the Nets. Kyrie ain't gonna want to hear this. But if I'm the Nets, in that circumstances as I see it, he ain't playing for the Nets. I'm sitting him till I trade him. You see what I'm saying? Because at $36 million, if he gets hurt for the Nets, their season's over. Their season's over. KD's, that situation is messed up. Completely messed up. And the likelihood he gets hurt, unfortunately, is higher than it otherwise should be, in my opinion, because of the responsibility he's going to have on that team defensively. He's going to have to bang. He's going to have to guard people that are bigger than him. He's going to have to guard people that are going to push him around, and that's going to wear him down. So those are the type of things that I just look at just as a basketball fan and just say, you know what? No. At $36 million, the Nets, can't afford to play Kyrie. If I know he's going to walk at the end of the season, if I know I need to win a championship with the man this season, all of these different things just don't go together. Shannon's selling me the idea that they're just, because they have to win this championship, they have to allow him to play out, test free agency. Absolutely not. You sign him to an extension and save yourself all those headaches. That's how you handle that. You don't do any of that. You don't let yourself go through that. Why would you go through that? Not going through that. You see what I'm saying? It makes no sense for the Nets to put themselves through that. And in a lot of people's mind, it's like, yeah, you give him a year to figure out if he's worth it, and then you pay him. No. Why? Free agency. You also let the whole field see what he just did. They're going to pay him. And they're going to pay him more than you will. That's why you don't let that happen. It's not just you watching. So, no, that doesn't work. It does not work at all. The Nets must extend Kyrie Irving, or they must trade him, or they're going to find themselves in a situation where they're ruining KD's timeline. That's what it is. You ruin his timeline. If you don't bring him a win-now piece that's like Kyrie, of that caliber, that can keep him in contention, you're failing him again. And I say again because that's exactly how I saw it the first time. When you put together that team, it wasn't quite what it needed to be. Made him look like he wasn't good enough to lead a team when actually the team wasn't good enough to be led by him. Facts. So, this is what it is. That's how I see it. He has to be traded, and he's going to be traded here. Now, the question is, when? Will the Brooklyn Nets continue the charade? Of course they will. Why? They have the backing of the media. The media is going to continue to sell you on the fact that the Nets are perfectly fine and everything's cool, even though everything is literally not, and it looks that way on its surface. So, yeah. That's what I have to say, man. I badger and beat on the Brooklyn Nets every day because I have to offset that energy. These ESPN always speaking positively about the Nets, they're going to do that. They're going to do that. And look, like I said, they're as good a team as any. I don't hate the Nets per se at all. They're a new team. They're getting started. I just think they went about things the wrong way, trying to fold to the pressure of a new New York market. Instead of building properly and allowing themselves to suck for a little while, like the Raptors did early on, teams like that, letting them get their natural picks. They went all in on washed up players, cut and dry. They did it more than once, failed them both times. They did it with Darren Williams and Paul Pierce, KG. They always do this. Misevaluating talent, going for the instant microwave championship, failing to get it every time. And they're still doing it. Nothing's changed. They're operating similarly right now. They must reset their timeline. I've been saying this all summer. That instant championship crap, it does not work. They're going to find out it doesn't work. They're going to fail again, and they're going to frustrate their fans again. And they would have had an opportunity to get Victor Wembanyama if they would have simply not made the Royce O'Neal deal and suffered an entire rebuild simultaneously. That is what they should have done. Suffered an entire rebuild simultaneously by holding on to that pick. Everything that Utah's doing is exactly what Brooklyn should be doing. Exactly that. Trade everything. Wipe the canvas clean. You got New York on your backside. You instill yourself in a position to get all of your natural picks. You load up on talent. You bring free agents to New York because they're going to want to be there because it's New York. And you make sure that you keep a clean and free cap space situation about yourselves. And that's how you become what it is that you're trying to quickly force yourself into being. That's how you do it. When you skip steps, you make it so that you're not quite good enough. You can pay the media $1 billion to lie about it. It's still going to translate to lackluster art. You can't fake substance. I say this in every facet of art, bro. I don't care what it is. Basketball, media, music. I don't care how much marketing dollars you pour into sappy art. It's still colorful garbage. Okay? That's what the Nets are. Colorful, really, really, really shiny pieces, but they're not put together with basketball necessarily in mind. Just like the Lakers last year wasn't put together with basketball necessarily in mind. It's about marketing dollars. It's fluff. It's machine music. It's not substance art. Now, those are substance artists on the floor wearing the uniforms. Kyrie Irving's a substance artist. James Harden was a substance artist. Kevin Durant, obviously, these are real artists. Great, timeless artists. In a sappy machine. In a campy pop music machine basketball squad. That's exactly what they are. A pop music machine basketball team backed by the media, completely inflated in all of their value. The players got there, realized that, and won out. That's what I see. That's exactly what I see. Because if they were of substance art and they had the players in mind, none of that vaccine, dude, they're the bad guys, all this bull crap, none of that would have happened. Why? Because they would have valued the artists. They say, yo, Kyrie's a great artist. He's one of the great players of all time. And what he does, his skills and stuff like that, let's just try to help him through these times. He's obviously suffering something serious. Let's just help him through these times. He's obviously going through something. He's trying to stand for some people. Let's help him through these times. That's all their job was supposed to be. Not this, put him in this category. He's a bad guy. Let's pay the media to say, yeah, he didn't want to play. None of that stuff is your job. None of that's your job. You're a basketball team. Not a pharmaceutical company. I'm sorry, you're not. It's not your job to tell people to take the freaking vaccine. It's your job to put basketball players on the floor and have them run around in black. Am I tripping? Maybe I am. Maybe I am. But what I'm tripping off of is the understanding that there's a lot of fluff over there. It's fluff. And it's a lot of capping. A lot of lies going on. Embellishing of value. I don't like it. I resent it. I resent it on a deeper level because I don't like fluff art. I don't like pop machine garbage. I don't like narrative media telling me which gang to vote for. None of that. None of that is. Those are norms that don't necessarily fit the times we're in. And so goes the same with this basketball thing, man. We have got to see the parallels there. And from there, start valuing the art once again. Start making it about basketball once again. If your business is the focal point, the art takes a back seat. And what you're selling is art, not business. So whatever today's norms is, if I want you to wear black and white colorful uniforms to represent my nose being a certain curvature, and then I decide that on that day, if people don't do that, they're all rude, and you back that nonsense, part of the problem. I'm sorry, you can't be caught up in the day. You still got to be a basketball club. You still got to make sure that basketball is taken care of, not the agreed norms of my curvature nose and how we celebrate it. No, that's today's stuff. That's not going to matter tomorrow. And most importantly, you got to make sure that what you're doing is still focused on the art itself. So while a lot of people will say remove politics and basketball, that's not the conversation I'm having. No, that's not the conversation I'm having. I know a lot of people will align that with what it is I'm saying, but it's not. No, because politics, a lot of times in people's minds, it's not really politics. It's social healing is what I would call it. That's not politics. It's just labeled politics. It's actual social healing. We need to heal socially, and these are the type of conversations that need to be had in order for that to happen. That's not political. It's just what people call it. But nevertheless, I look at all of this come together. You know me, I go on a tangent, but at the end of the day, I'm serious. I'm dead serious. At the end of the day, the Brooklyn Nets, as a team, need to start over and do things from an artistic standpoint as it pertains to instilling real substance in their basketball team. Get some young players, do all the stuff that you got to do with your G League squad, making sure that you have that foundation in place, get your picks in place, and stop mortgaging everything. Stop doing it the cheap route, the pop music route. Stop that. Get real artists and give them what it is that they need. KD is in place. He should have young players around him. He should have Kyrie in place for multiple years. Ben Simmons should not be there, straight up. He should not be there. I love Ben Simmons. Ben Simmons, that's my guy. He should not be there. Not with KD's timeline. Those two things don't go together. I'm sorry. You brought Pen 10 in because you needed James Harden out, and that was what you needed to do to get him there. Now, you separate those two. You make sure that Ben 10 goes somewhere where he doesn't have to be a champion right now, and you make sure that KD goes somewhere where he doesn't have a player with a bad back and the circumstances in place that Ben has right now. Those two things shouldn't be together. If Sean Marks knows what he's doing, they'll separate those two players. Straight up. You don't put Ben 10 in that situation and put KD in that situation and say, yeah, we're winning with championship. No, you're not. These pieces don't go together. And I get it. I truly get it. It was harder to move Ben 10 because of the situation at hand. But now you got to do that. But see, if you're watching BDF 44 and you've been following me for 2 or 3 months, you know that's the opposite of what I'm telling you to do. Because what I actually think the Nets should do is build around Ben 10. And send the other guys, the older guys, out. They're not going to do that. I know they're not going to do it because they're stubborn. And like I said, they're backed by the media and everybody else and the pharmaceutical companies and anybody else. So, always speak positively about the Nets. That's what we're going to do. God bless the Nets and all that has to do with them. But as for me and mine, we Lakers, and we're going to take their point guard. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take their point guard, bring real artists to the situation, and give them real energy. They try to fluff our team up, by the way. They try to make us like fluff. But real Laker fans, nah. See, that's the thing about it. You've been presented what a Laker fan actually is. That's what they've done. They told you who I am. They've told you who the real ones are, but I know who the real ones are. I know what we represent, and we know exactly what's going on. We're not just a bunch of people who want everything and expect to get everything. No, we don't. We know how to get what it is that we want, and because of it, we attract the best of things. It's a difference. There's a difference. We know how to get it. LeBron James chose the Lakers when we were bad because he knew we knew how to get it. What do we have? 2020. We got it. That's why Kyrie wouldn't mind being a Laker, because we know how to get it. We don't always get it right, but we know how to get it when it's time to. We know this is what it takes. Pay the media $1 trillion, but if you don't have that substance in place, you ain't winning nothing. You think we don't have the media? Of course we got the media. We're the Lakers. But what else do we have? Bron, AD, 2 picks to get Kyrie. A bunch of kids that we love. A whole G League full of players that are going to fill up the league full of talent. Soon. All of them coming. Every last one of my G League affiliate players, all them Lakers guys, yeah, they're all going to the league. Every last one of them. Pick one. They're going. That's what I love about my squad. We got the best scouts in the world. Hi, Golden State. That's us. Talk about substance. That's why I love my squad. So I don't know what everybody else is doing. I'm tell you right now, it doesn't matter. We're still going to come out on top when it's time. Respect to everybody else who's winning championships. I'm not saying we're the only one winning, but we got 17 of them, and there's a very, very, very good reason for that. Very good reason for that. Keeping basketball first for many, 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 many years had a lot to do with it. Some would argue in 2001 we also got a free championship. Some could argue that Sacramento situation. I'm never going to argue against that. But nevertheless, we had Shaq. They didn't. So it's what it is. I will say this, though. As I look at the Brooklyn Nets, I don't envy them. Because at the end of the day, they know that they're about to run into a brick wall. They know that. Maybe not the players, but those behind the scenes, they know their team ain't good enough. They know they haven't put together a championship squad. They know that. Don't let them lie to you. They know that. So the question is, are they going to continue to pretend like they have a championship team and build and play this game accordingly, like Shannon thinks they're going to do? I doubt that. I doubt it very seriously. I think they're going to play this very, very soundly. I think they're going to try to hold on to KD as best as they can, but I think they're going to get rid of Kyrie Irving at $36 million. Bring in multiple pieces if possible, or secure themselves an opportunity to have a win-now team next year by doing so. Or they're going to pay Kyrie Irving like they're supposed to and keep that win-now timeline in place and keep that team in place as a championship team like they believe in, and just move that way. But anything else other than that is just them being halfway on, halfway off, and that's not acceptable. It's not acceptable for KD stuff, for his timeline. You must pick a side. Just like the Lakers need to pick a side in regards to LeBron James, you either go all in or all out. KD is the exact same circumstance for the Nets. And lying to the American people about what it is that he can do with his team doesn't mean that he's going to go out there and succeed. In fact, it means he's going to go out there and fail. And he's trying to prevent that, in my opinion. I think Kyrie is too. They don't want to go out there and fail. I do think they'll be a good team. I think they'll win over 50 games. But they're going to get into a playoff situation against the Boston Celtics, and they're going to get knocked off. Or they're going to get into a situation with another deep type of team, and they're going to get knocked off. And it's going to be foreseeable. And it ain't going to be because the core couldn't win. It's going to be because they didn't build properly in the first place. So, that's my beating of the Brooklyn Nets for today. I'm pretty sure I'll have one for you tomorrow as we continue to assess what it is that they're dealing with and why it is that I see what I'm seeing there, and why it appears that people are trying to tell you things that I don't believe are actually there to see, in regards to the Brooklyn Nets and the Lakers and all the situation with Kyrie. But we're going to keep fighting. We're going to keep fighting for it. We're going to keep on telling everybody who follows me. There's a whole lot of bullcrap going on. Bullcrap. Corporate bullcrap that I'm sensing, and I don't really like it. And I'm not afraid to speak on it at all. My name is BDL44. I thank you all for watching.